forward to sharing them with you. So what time do we have? 6:00, we run like 6:04, 6:02, 6:05. Let's get this party started. So there are some of you on this call that I have never actually got to meet before, so I just want to introduce myself. My name is Carey Cohill. I just recently moved to Jacksonville, and I know I have some of the Jacksonville's Moms Club in the house, and I have some of the Jacksonville entrepreneurs in the house. So hello to all of you. I look forward to meeting you. A little over 5 years ago, I started my plant-based journey. I started because I was in this horrible depression and I was looking for something. I knew there had to be a better way. And I was introduced to a plant-based lifestyle, and I had become addicted to feeling good and creating American classics and making them plant-based. And I love sharing them with you. And that is what I hope to be doing tonight, is showing you there's some great holiday classics that you can just make just a few small tweaks and make them plant-based delicious dishes that no one will know is plant-based. And I know I have some of my VIPs in the house tonight who can testify. I have some live and I have some in the virtual world that can testify that these recipes are husband and kid approved and will also help you lose weight. So all kinds of wins. Stay to the end of this class because I have an amazing holiday offer just for you guys. But without further ado, I would love to hear from you, and then we will get cooking. I would love to hear in the chat. And Naomi, did we see Naomi come on yet? Naomi, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. Just read those questions to me. I can't read them from this far. But while you're watching the class, feel free at any time, just put a question in the chat for my live studio audience, if you will. Just ask me and I'll make sure the whole group can hear. But in the chat, I would love to know, put where you are zooming in from. So tell me the city that you're coming in from or the town. And let me know, are you a salty person or a sweet person? Do you love the desserts during the holiday, or do you love, like the salty potatoes and gravy? What's your favorite? Put it in the chat. I would love to see where you guys are all coming in from. I have a feeling we have a lot of Florida in the house, but I know that we have some people that have some snowstorms up in the Midwest also in the house. So let me know in the chat. Kelly, can you see that? Where people are coming in from? I can
Toronto, Canada is right there.
We have Canada. Woo!
Salty. Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Woo! Let us know if you're salty or sweet.
Down the street.
But I can see sweet there. What about you? So I have some of my amazing neighbors that they took the hard task. They wanted to be the taste testers tonight. They have the hard job. I had to beg and plead. So what about you guys? Are you salty or sweet during the holiday? Salty? What about you? Salty? Both. You could throw spicy in there too. That's all three. Sugar. Sweet. Sweet and crunchy. Sweet and yeah. Team texture. I know we have a few people on from VIP that are team texture. Well, let's officially, I know we have a few more people. Oh, is that actually Naomi right now? Perfect. Naomi is my amazing VIP that is going to help us moderate tonight because I cannot read all of your comments. So while Naomi is getting set up, I would love to tell you, so this is what I recommend tonight. You all should have gotten your meal guide emailed to you directly after you signed up. If you didn't get that, we will post a link and resend it again in the email so you get it. So you're going to have all the recipes that my gift to you forever and ever. You're also going to get a replay of this video. So what I recommend is watch the class and then ask questions and figure out which recipes or all of them that you would like to make this Christmas or even New Year's. And just, yes, so watch, ask questions and decide which recipes are perfect for you and your family. and let's get this party started. So cheers, cheers virtually. Let's lift your glass. Let's have a great holiday party. Cheers, cheers, cheers. And let's get cooking. So Naomi, I already let our great new friends know that if they have any questions to type it in the chat. So please, if there's questions in the chat, just unmute yourself, Naomi, and share them with me so I can, and I will answer them right on the spot. For anybody that's watching on the replay, please just put them in the comments and we will get to you. So the first thing I'm going to teach you tonight is, I love having a great appetizer board. Oh, hi, Naomi. Actually, we will have to.
I was like, we're cheering, shoot. Okay.
We will have to pin, Kelly, with the mouse, just go in the right corner, click that button. Kelly is actually, and then go to speaker, is new to Zoom, believe it or not. So hopefully I should be pinned to the top. Also know that on your screen, there's 3 little dots. You can hit them and you can pin me to the top just so the cooking class, you can see all of it. So what I want to teach you tonight is a fun appetizer board that I have brought, board or platter, or I feel like there's a really cool name now called the charcuterie board, which are beautiful. So I'm going to teach you how to make a homemade cranberry sauce over a vegan feta, but I want to show you the whole board because it will impress not only your neighbors, your family and friends, but it's super easy to make. So in your recipe guide, go to the cranberry sauces. We're going to start cranberry and vegan feta. And all we are going to do is turn my stove on. And this comes together super fast, but we have to start here because we need the cranberry sauce to cool. So we are going to take our dried cranberries, and actually, should have read my own recipe. One of the things that you want to do with dried fruit for this recipe is just soak it in water for just a few minutes. That's one of the things I teach all of my clients, but clearly already forgot, is to read all your ingredients and instructions first, so it's all ready for you when you're ready to get started. So what you want to do is just take the dried cranberries, soak them in a little warm water. This is going to reconstitute them and make them absolutely delicious in this sauce. So while that is happening, we're going to take a bag of fresh cranberries, which, does anybody like to snack on these but me? Little tart, delicious. What? If you love, I love them. Does anybody in the virtual world, let me know in the chat. I just think they're so good. They are tart, but they are absolutely delicious. I love these things. But they only come around like one time a year. So the next thing that you will do after you add your fresh cranberries is we will take these oranges. I rinsed them earlier, but we'll give them another good rinse. We are going to juice 2 to 3 oranges. And why I can't be exact on that is because some oranges are super juicy and some are not. So these ones feel like they're going to be pretty juicy. So we're going to zest one first. You don't want to clearly juice them and then try to zest them. That doesn't make it very easy. So we're going to zest the orange just until you see a little bit of the white part. You don't want to go way past the white because then it gets really bitter.
How can you tell if it's juicy?
How can you tell if it's juicy? In your hand, you can just feel the firm or the juiciness of it, so it's not too super firm. So Jules had asked, how can you tell if it's going to be perfectly juicy? And I said, you just kind of got to squeeze it. Sometimes when the fruit is when it's not that ripe, you can, ideally you don't want to use it. You want a ripe one, but you can always zap it in the microwave for like 8 seconds and that will release some of the juices. Or you could even use like a good quality orange juice to get a similar effect. Because sometimes oranges just don't look that good in the market. These ones looked great. We have the zest of the orange, we have our cranberries in, and then we want to take the juice of both of these oranges. And if it wasn't, I'll show you what I mean by really juicy. My hands were already washed right before this. So we're gonna get the juice. Now, I grew up in a house, and let me know if you can relate in the comments, where cranberries, and I think my mom may or may not be on this, but cranberries came out of a can. Did anybody else have cranberries out of a can? So I actually did not know that cranberries, I knew there was cranberries out of a can and cranberry juice. I didn't know like this fresh, beautiful little berry existed. Until I became plant-based. So if you are still a person that likes the cranberries out of a can, I encourage you to try this, because even my mom, who was pretty certain she was not gonna like these because she likes them out of a can, loves these. And once you make a batch of this.
Your mother's listening.
Huh?
That's your mom.
Oh, my mom.
Your mother's
my mom-
listening.
She said, my mother's listening.
Yep.
No, I'm only, will you just tell me am I being truthful? Did you like the cranberries, Mom?
Yes, I loved it.
See, and I didn't pay her to say that. I didn't know she was on. So and once you make these, not only is it great for a side during the holidays, but the appetizer I'm going to teach you, but it's also really good on toast. You can make this as almost a homemade jelly. It's delicious. So we have our fresh cranberries, our orange, the zest from the orange. We are going to add a little bit grade A maple syrup as our sweetener. So when I say grade A, good quality maple syrup, I have shopped for maple syrup, I would say all over. I will tell you Costco is the most affordable. That's where this one came from. You can get it off Amazon. You can get it anywhere, but do avoid anything that has a log cabin or anybody's aunt on the label. That has maple syrup in it, but it's not actually real maple syrup. It has all kinds of other, corn syrup and different syrups in there. So use the real stuff. The next ingredient we're going to add, we have our real maple syrup. We are going to add some pumpkin pie spice. And I am, if you notice, if you weren't here with me, you guys too, I would eyeball all this, but I am measuring it right off the recipe for you so you can see exactly how it is done. But I use 1 whole teaspoon. If you have cinnamon, that will work too. I just always buy pumpkin pie spice because I just consider it to be more bang for your buck because you get more spice in it. You get your cinnamon, ginger, lemon, nutmeg, cloves, cardamom. It's delicious. But cinnamon will work beautifully. Get that in. It's really, really starting to smell like the holidays. And then the next thing, I'm just going to take our cranberries that you saw. They reconstituted. How you can tell they've reconstituted is they get bigger and they're softer again. The fastest way to do this is just put them in some warm water. We're just going to drain these, put them into our pot. And it sounds, I tried to make these without the dried cranberries and just use fresh, but there is some, there is this different texture you get for my team texture people that you get with the fresh berries and the dried ones. And I do, when I buy dried fruit, sometimes it can be hard to buy the ones that don't have all the added sugar on them. It's really easy at farmers markets or when like in bulk places, or just when you're buying your groceries online, just put sugar-free cranberries. And the last ingredient, so this is what I always do. I go down my list. We have our fresh cranberries, our dry, our pumpkin pie spice, our juice from the oranges, the zest from the oranges, our real maple syrup, and then 2 more ingredients. I add a 1/4 cup of good old-fashioned water. And then we're just going to do a pinch of black pepper. Sounds a little, I know it sounds like it could be strange pepper in a sweet dish, but it just adds this perfect floral note. And that's all she wrote. So all we'll do, this is going to become the perfect appetizer side, but I gotta let it cook for about 3 to 4 more minutes or until all of our berries pop, and then just let it cool for a few minutes. Can you smell it? Does it smell of the holidays? So all we'll do is just put a cover over this. And since I promised you a full holiday meal, meaning we're gonna start with an appetizer, we are going to then have 3 sides. We're gonna have our mashed potatoes, we're gonna have gravy, we're gonna have our cranberries, and we're going to have a protein, but we're also gonna have a dessert. So desserts take the longest to bake. I was going to do a no-bake dessert for you guys, but then I'm like, we have to have, except for my one girlfriend here who doesn't like chocolate. Do we have any other chocolate not haters in the house? Let me know in the comments if there's anybody else that does not like chocolate. The good news is if you don't, your guests will love these brownies, and I have a version that you can make them vanilla as well. But since the majority of the world loves chocolate, I had to go chocolate, and I wanted to show you exactly how fast this all comes together. So we have our berries for our side and our appetizer going. We are going to make our brownies that come right out of your guide. And the guide I'm using is actually my holiday cookbook. It comes to you as an ebook, but I printed it because I print everything. So all we're gonna do, I have all my ingredients already out. Some of them are gonna sound crazy. Oh, hey, Linda, I see ya. I don't know why you popped up, but I got to see your face. So some of the ingredients may sound like, what? You cannot put those possibly in brownies, but I promise I've made these thousands of times. I have over 600 reviews on these brownies. Anybody, no one in here, in the comment, I know some of the VIPs have made these brownies. Will you let the people know what you think of them, how good they are? I would love, because I know Dana, you have not made these, right? And we have to have a cheers while we're waiting. I wonder, Kelly, there's gotta be a way you can. Cheers, cheers. I'm gonna walk around and pin.
It's on speaker.
Hmm?
It's on speaker.
Let me see. Hold on. We're just gonna, not that Linda, I don't want to see you, but I don't know why.
Yeah, mute everybody.
Spotlight for everyone. There we go. Boom, I'm back. We just had a little, I wanted to spotlight so the camera angles didn't just keep changing on you. So back to these amazing brownies. Made them, like I said, thousands of times. So many positive reviews. Some of the ingredients I know will sound weird, but they're so good. So here's what it's gonna start with. I would say the weirdest ingredient, but it's gonna make sense. So we are gonna start with a can of organic, got that in the shop, organic black beans with
Go low too.
the liquid. This brand happens to be from Aldi's. I don't care which organic black beans you get, but you do need the liquid. Why? Is because that is what's gonna act as our oil, because these brownies will not have any excess oil or eggs in it, so we need that moisture. That's why, but I want you to buy an organic black bean, so it doesn't have any of that extra stuff in it that we don't want. So 1 can, you're worth the extra 20 cents. Get the organic black beans. Then we're gonna do 1 cup of another ingredient. And this, I should mention, these are not only plant-based, dairy-free, these are also completely gluten-free. So I have right here 1 cup of oat flour. Now, all oat flour is you buy a big package of gluten-free organic oats. I've used it with quick oats and non-quick oats. They both look pretty similar. I use this so often that I buy a big 7-pound bag, but you just grind them up right in your blender and it makes flour. You can also buy oat flour, but it's super, super easy just to turn your oatmeal into oat flour. So oat flour, gluten-free. And then our next ingredient is going to be a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder or cacao powder, whatever. Just make sure this is a 1/4 cup. This is actually, oh, no, it is a 1/2 cup. Follow my own. I read the wrong one. So it's half a cup of cocoa powder. The next ingredient, where my quarter cup came from, is actually gonna be a peanut butter powder. So you might have seen something like this on the market before that's in a smaller container. I make these so often in different versions. That's why I have this like turbo jug. There are much smaller ones that you can get on the market. And it's just a quarter cup. If you don't have this, you can still make the brownies. Just add a little bit more of your cocoa powder. This is gonna give it this extra peanut chocolatey taste without having to add so much peanut butter. So it will save you calories, but you'll still have the amazing flavor. Next ingredient, and this is another one that can be super confusing on when you're shopping, is your nut butters or peanut butters. So this is one of my favorites. It's just almond butter. This one comes from Costco, but any brand, any good almond butter. If you use a peanut butter, just make sure on the back when you read the label, it just says nuts, roasted nuts. You don't need any added oils. You don't need any added molasses or syrup. Just nuts will do, or you can even make it yourself if you have a high-speed blender. So you're gonna use a quarter cup, which I know is about 2 heaping tablespoons. It may be so often. I don't like it.
Hey, Carrie, this is Cheryl.
Oh,
Cheryl?
I have a question. Rose had asked a question in the chat
Yeah.
about where she can find oat flour.
Oat flour. So the best place, Rose, you can find oat flour at like Sprouts, the grocery store, or just I would buy oatmeal, just like you would serve at breakfast, and put it in a blender. In the recipe, it will tell you if you need 1 cup of oat flour, use 1 cup or 1.5 cups of oats, and that makes 1 cup of oat flour. I find that the easiest, but I have seen it where you can buy it. It's normally at a more like specialty store, like a Sprouts. But thank you, Cheryl, for popping in and asking it. And while I can smell and I can hear these little guys popping, they smell delicious.
and then Carrie, also, Ashley, we were all saying how good the brownies were, and Ashley says she doesn't know about the brownies because she's never made it to the oven because she just likes the batter so much she keeps eating it before she can bake it.
There you go. So I had a feeling if anybody was not going to make it to the oven, those would be Ashley's brownies. And the great thing, when you make these small switches, you can eat the batter raw if you choose because there's no eggs in it. So this cranberries, actually, I'm just going to add 1 little more splash of water because I let it go just a little too far. But if it ever just stiffs up on you a little bit, just add about a tablespoon more of water, and then I'm going to remove this from the heat, and I will show you what it looks like. That's the great thing when you use water as your go-to condiment. It's readily available. It's not expensive. So here we are. Can you just switch me to this camera?
Sure.
There we go. My spoon, my spurtle's getting in the way. Check out, yum. And as this is still going to reduce down with the, we'll get a little looser. It's not heavy. It's not heavy. Yeah, beautiful. It's so many fun. It's good. Yes. Smells good. Tastes good. I just like it a little looser, personal preference. So I'm just gonna add another tablespoon of water. And we're just gonna let that chill because when I put this on top of our vegan feta that's actually made from coconut, I don't want it to melt the cheese. So here we go. We're gonna let this little girl sit off the heat to cool down. Go back to the brownies. And Rose or anybody with oat flour too, you just said you could find it on Amazon as well. But it's one of those things, if you eat oatmeal, you like eating oatmeal, buying regular oatmeal and just putting it in your blender or your food processor and blending it up is really easy. And then you'll have oatmeal, so you can have it for cold days like we had today. Where did I leave off? We have, we're on our vanilla and almond extract. So we're just gonna use a teaspoon of each. If you only have vanilla, just use 2 teaspoons, no big deal. I use the cap to measure because normally all caps are about a teaspoon. Didn't know. When I just used 2, so I'm not gonna use my own almond extract this time. And then for our sweetener, once again, instead of using any refined sugars, we are gonna use our grade A maple syrup. Put it all right in here. You can also, in my VIP group, I know I have some people that love agave. You can absolutely use agave. What I have found is maple has a more deep, rich, almost a little sweeter of a taste. So you might have to use a little bit more. But you can taste this batter and see if it's up to your sweetness. And then, since we're not using eggs, we need a binder. And if you don't have either of these ingredients, I'll recommend that you just buy some ground milled flaxseed, which Kelly, can you take me to this angle real quick? It looks just like this. You can buy the seeds. I just buy a big package of it. That's why it's in a container and then I store it in the fridge. But this is gonna act as our egg. So I use 1 heaping tablespoon of the chia seed and then, of the flaxseed, and then I use 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. But if you only have the flaxseed, just use 2 tablespoons of the flaxseed. It will work just as well. I love using this combination as almost my egg, if you will. It adds extra fiber, it adds extra protein, and you'll never know that there's not eggs in there. And then all we're gonna do is take this beautiful batter, and wait till you see this. It's gonna be loud for just a moment, so hold on.
And I'm not sure, hopefully you can hear me well, it's loud on Carey's corner, but Cheryl brought up a good point on the chat that the dark agave, if you're trying to replace maple with agave, the dark agave is a good choice to do that. And Chris said that Carey's PJs are adorable, which they absolutely are, and the reindeer horns.
Thank you. Costco and Dollar Tree, only the best, only the best. I'm gonna let this keep going because I don't want it to be too loud when we're answering questions. So give me another 10 seconds. Cheers, right? Cheers. Okay. So now you just open up this luscious, let me.
I want some of that batter.
Luscious batter, I know. Ashley's on her way over to get just the batter, but we're not done. We could be done, but we're not going to be. It is the holidays. So what we're going to add, and notice on the recipe, it calls for 1 of the dairy-free chocolate chips. This is the brand I recommend when using, if I'm going to go sweet, but it doesn't have any of the excess milk fats or dairy or butter. The only thing that it has in here is real chocolate, organic cane sugar, and cocoa butter. And cocoa butter is actually the butter from the cocoa bean plant. It's not like a dairy butter. So Enjoy Life, or I believe even Nestle came out with this like exact version. So you're going to add 3/4 of the cup in here, and then we're just gonna pulse it. It is gonna make these little fudge pockets into this batter that make it absolutely irresistible.
No wonder they just tasted that.
Huh?
No wonder it didn't.
I know. Actually, they just said now they understand why this batter never gets to the oven. So notice this was a key step and a reason you want to read the instructions before you start a recipe. You don't want to blend these. If we would have blended them all up, we wouldn't get those little fudge pockets. So you just pulse them about 10 times. Once again, I've made these so many times, I know the exact time. One of the things I didn't bring up to you guys too is when I started my plant-based journey, I did not have, which was in August, so it was right before the holidays. I did not have any fancy equipment. I think I had like my parents' margarita machine. And couldn't make anything with that except a margarita. So if you don't have a food processor and you want to know if you're going to use one, check out Facebook Marketplace for Check a Neighbor. Right now, there will be some crazy sales after the holiday. And if you want to know which ones I recommend, either message me on In the Kitchen with Carey Cohill on Facebook, or send me an email, which you have my email address. Oh my gosh, look at this batter. No. But I'll tell you the ones, there's two I really recommend. But before, I'm a big believer, don't buy something if you know you're not going to use it. So you live on Hexer Drive and you want to know if you're going to use it. I'll borrow mine. It's this batter. Let me get my, anybody watch the commercial about Spurtles? Because I fell for it. And I got me some Spurtles. So I used them. Just say, I didn't know if anybody, let me know in the chat, has anybody seen those infomercials on the Spurtles? It fell for them. There's it just me. I love a good infomercial. And this batter is so good. So if my husband was here, he would be right behind me with a spoon. Actually, he would just take the Spurtle.
I haven't seen the commercial, but Cheryl says they got her too.
Oh gosh, thank you, Cheryl, for not making me feel alone in my, I don't know if it's bad behavior, falling for, it's a spatula, but they called it a cool name, and then I wanted it. So do you see this batter?
One more question. Sorry, Rose wants to know if you can use a mixer to make this.
So the only reason a mixer will not work is because of the beans. Like it won't be able to, you need to actually puree the beans. That is why, unfortunately, it does not work. Unless your mixer has, I'm just thinking like a beater, you need the blade. So you could blend up, puree the beans, and then use a mixer. But somehow we got to break up the beans because nobody wants beans in their brownie. We don't want people to know they're there. Okay, I wish you guys could see this. I want to pop open the strip.
You want to show them?
So you could see what the live studio audience is passing around the bowl and eating the batter. If you want to be live at one of these classes, hopefully I will have the opportunity soon. This is actually only my second in-person class in my new kitchen. We just moved to Jacksonville in April, and I got the opportunity to build a teaching kitchen. So here you go. Look at this. All you do, I don't want to move it too much. Actually, Kelly caught me over here. So this batter pours out perfectly evenly. My guy says I need a light.
Well, I don't know if you do or not, but it might help.
So the batter pours out. Look at that. Oh, it's glistening. It's delicious. It's beautiful. It's going to go in the oven at 350 for 22 to 25 minutes. All ovens, I've noticed these days, because I've cooked in so many kitchens, it ranges. So if you have a convection oven, you're going to be right around 20 to 22 minutes. If you only have an oven that bakes, no convection, you're going to be closer to 25. So we're going to pop these in the oven. Put a timer on. That actually really good. I mean, I don't know if anybody just heard what Jewel said, but she said this would be really good with the cranberry sauce on top, and I cannot agree more. Oh, hold on. I have a little elf who's washing my dishes. Gotta use it one more time. So the next, does anybody have any questions on the brownies or the cranberries so far? make sure you just put them in the chat. Let me get a little spoony left. Because another thing is you always have to try food as you go, because sometimes these cranberries could be a little more tart than other times. So I want to just try and make sure that, they're not too tart, not too sweet. Which is perfect. There we go. There, I know, camera guy Kelly said that's his job. Those are really good. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. So while the brownies are cooking, I'm going to go grab the charcuterie board so I can show you how easy this is to put together. Okay, so we'll pop over to this camera, Kelly. So I wanted to show you guys this live from start to finish, but I promised, I actually asked my VIP group as well as my husband if I should show you the cranberry sauce or how to make the board. So I'm going to do my best to do both. This board is not all the way in. It's too big. Got a better shot.
There you go, yeah.
Okay, so what I have here, when you make any kind of charcuterie board or platter, I think it could be intimidating until you do it. So here's my best advice to you, is this is just a cutting board, nothing fancy. I always like to anchor it with one larger bowl, and this is what our vegan feta is going to go on. Now, if you just took a nice pretty bowl with these yummy holiday crackers and just put that like on a platter, that's going to be beautiful. The end, you don't need to do anything else. But all I do when I build a charcuterie board, based on what my dish is, I put it always in the corner, and then you just start building right around it, okay? Then I always have 4 little containers on each of my boards. I don't know why, but it always works. So right here, I have a homemade spinach dip that's out of my, if you love spinach dip, you're gonna love this. This is right out of my holiday cookbook. And then I just put some fresh blueberries and some dried fruit. You could also do like some kind of like little cornichon or pickles. And then these little guys, has anybody had these? I have a neighbor who's like, oh my God, I love these. So these are just dehydrated shiitakes. They are delicious. I believe you can get them on Amazon or Costco. And so you'll just notice how I did the U following this, but I just put these 2 containers, and then you just build the U, and then you just see where the pockets are. And then I built a U around this dip. And then I wanted I always like something fresh with the cucumbers, raw, or radishes, because they're pretty. And then one thing that I taught my VIP group today, which you'll have the opportunity to hopefully become one, is I call this tofu cheese. It's just organic tofu with a few special spices. And it almost makes like a mozzarella cheese. It's delicious. But in the recipe, I teach you how to do the vegan cheese with the cranberry. So let's grab. So once again, eating in my group, I teach about good, better, best choices and how to eat at least 80% whole food plant-based and 20%, if you have 20% foods that are minimally processed. So during the holidays, this is going to be a better choice. This is a dairy-free feta that I was actually told by one of my friends who's here that she likes better than regular feta because it's got great texture. This is the only brand, BioLife, that I have seen to make this. Whole Foods always has a great selections of nut-based cheeses, but I have not seen another feta besides this brand. I have seen this brand at Walmart. I have seen it at Publix. I know because I have clients up in the Midwest. It's at Hy-Vee. I believe, Lori, if you could let us know, have you ever seen this at Jewel? I know that goes further north. And our friends in Canada, I don't know. I know this is at Kroger. So all the main grocery stores have this BioLife brand. But once again, I believe Whole Foods has another version. I just don't remember the what's that, Trader Joe's. I bet Trader Joe's has a vegan feta as well. I have never seen this feta, and I want to show you what it looks like. It looks like a block of feta. I actually think it has more of a texture of like a almost like a harder cream cheese, but still has that feta taste. It's really, really good. So what I like to do to finish off this board, I simply just take that block, wet my hands a little bit, there's a little moisture. I set it with the oranges on the bottom, thinly sliced. And why I do that, because we eat with our eyes first. We get a pop of color. The orange actually will flavor a little bit of the cheese, and the orange is actually in our cranberry sauce. So I love people to know what they're getting. So we're gonna take our beautiful cranberry sauce, and if you would want this, if you wanted to thin this out, this cranberry sauce at all, you would just add a little splash of water. Just want to show you the texture. I love this consistency, but I know consistency is a personal preference. So what I love to teach in all of my classes is really the methods. And then you can adjust based on how you prefer things. So if you wanted this a little looser, just add a little bit more water. And then
Lori says that brand for feta is also at Jewel.
Jewel?
Yes, and Cheryl wants to know if the shiitakes, the dehydrated shiitakes, are seasoned.
Yes, I don't know if it's just me, but they taste like those rye crisps, like in Gardettos or whatever those things that make your what is that mix? Chex Mix? That had those like rye crisps. I think they're called Gardettos. Or Gardettos. These mushrooms remind me of Gardettos in the best way. Like they're dehydrated and there's some kind of seasoning. Oh, here, let me show you. I share everything I know, especially to the ones I love. When you pop here, this is what they look like. Shiitake mushroom crisps. And there is, I'll tell you right now, there is sea salt, and then they have spices. So that's their hidden term, so no one can knock this off. Onion, garlic, and then natural flavor. So they are a vegan treat. This isn't something I would say eat every day, but this is a much better option than say a fried potato chip, right? These are dehydrated, which is a much better process than frying it, but they are very, very good. And I got these specifically at Costco. If you don't have a Costco by you, what I also noticed is if you're a member, you can still get Costco items shipped. I get these shipped to my house through Costco. So let me show you the final version of how this.
There's a couple more questions. So the dip is a spinach dip, but they're asking what the tofu is seasoned with and what the yellow things in the little bowl are.
Okay.
And then also, are they like crackers, which I'm assuming is the shiitake that they're asking about.
What was the final question about the crackers, Naomi?
Are the shiitake like crackers? Is that
I would
like
say they're like they're definitely crunch. Like here. Can you hear that? Microphone? They're crunch, they're so really good. They're crunchy. I would say just like a cracker, a chip. They would be perfect on their own or with dip. I love eating them with my hummus. This right here that I chose to do is just dried apricots. I chose them because I just liked the color and I love dried apricots. You could do figs, you could do, what I try to do is color. So I have red, orange, blue, like try to have some kind of color. I wouldn't want to do everything. I wouldn't want to do a big thing of dried cranberries here, right? So we're going to dried cranberries, we have dried cherries. Also what sometimes I put in here, olives or even pickles. Like I can go the salty instead of the sweet. And then these little crackers are just those little holiday crackers, that's what they call them. I have the package so I can show you. I normally try to buy like the gluten-free crackers, but these are my favorite during the holidays. What do they call these? Crisps, rosemary pumpkin crisps. These ones happen to be from Aldi's, but I see them at Sprouts, I see them at Whole Foods, I see them at Trader Joe's. And then I love these little Mary's crackers. Mary's got a lot of these seeded crackers. You can absolutely make your own, but during the holidays, we're already making our own. I love these brands. And then, of course, having something fresh like cucumbers or radishes. I don't recommend having something like apples or even like a guacamole, something that's going to potentially brown on you, especially for something as pretty as this board during the holidays. And then the tofu is actually, the tofu cheese is something we just made today in our VIP community. And we season this with everything bagel seasoning, nutritional yeast, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, and salt and pepper. And it's a specific type of tofu that I'm also going to show you here shortly. So if we want to get one final shot, Kelly, of the finished board, and then I am going to get it along to its new owners. Hold on, this up. So there you go. Look at how beautiful that is. Cranberry, vegan, feta. And then once again, if you just put that in a big pretty bowl with some great crackers, this is a crowd pleaser. I will let the live crowd even tell you about it here shortly. I'm going to pass this around so we can keep cooking. Here you go. The whole board just for you. Yes, please take a picture, will you? And then I have, so next up, while our brownies still have 8 minutes, which is perfect because we want to get to our potatoes, which also take a little bit of time to make, but not long. Now, my potatoes are actually made from cauliflower. And how many people, let me know in the chat, have had cauliflower potatoes before? Have you guys had cauliflower potatoes? Do you like them? Or do you prefer regular ones? Oh yes, she's had mine, and she's like, yes, you made them awesome, I love them. So a lot of clients that I've worked with are like, oh, cauliflower potatoes. They almost feel like they're missing the real potato. They feel like they're sacrificing. When I started creating this recipe, I did not want to feel like I was sacrificing, because I love potatoes during the holidays. So this cauliflower potato, I promise you're not going to feel like you're eating cauliflower potatoes. You're going to feel like you're eating potatoes. But the best thing, you don't have to peel one potato, not a one, and I'm going to show you how. So the first ingredient, 16 ounces of frozen cauliflower florets. My bag happens to come in 10 ounces, so I'm just going to use a bag and a half. There's some bags that I used to buy at Publix that come in 16 ounces. So we use 16 ounces of frozen cauliflower. 1 cup, where are you, little potato? Oh, right over here. 1 cup of, I use a golden potato, because then it's got, and I wash it. It doesn't have a thick skin on it. You can also use a red potato. And I wanted to show you this. Can you flip me over here, Kelly? If your potato head starts to look like this, you can cut these off as long as the potato is still very firm. If the potato at all is soft, that is an indication that it is time to go. Now these just started, I just bought these potatoes actually. But if they start sprouting, you can cut them off, but if it's soft, that means no, throw it out. So that's still very firm. I literally just bought these 2 days ago. So why I have the potato too in the 1 cup measuring cup is because normally this potato will equate to 1 cup when I cut it up. I want to cut the potato in a similar size to the cauliflower florets. So when I steam them, they will steam at the same time. So I'm just cutting them up into little wedges. Like so. Little guys. There we go. And I say a cup, and I want to, this is why I love to teach live. So you see, that's like a heaping cup, right? But that's perfect. I'm not going to just 1 cup, about 1 potato. Perfect. The next ingredient that goes into our microwave dish is we have our frozen cauliflower, we have our cute potatoes, and it's just our almond milk, or you can use a coconut milk. Any plant milk will work. Honestly, so would even water. This is the milk that I am going to use, just organic coconut milk. Of course, this is unsweetened. When I say plant milk, it's basically milk that does not come from an animal. It comes from normally a nut, coconut. There's even oat milk on the market. So you just add a 1/4 cup Once again, if you don't have any plant milk, these are the small changes, right? Instead of using dairy milk, if you don't have any, just use water. So notice cauliflower, plant milk, potatoes. I'm gonna put this in my microwave. I just made a ton of these during the holidays, so I know it's exactly for 9 minutes. In the recipe, it calls for 8 to 10 minutes, but you can absolutely test it. Start with 8 minutes and then just see where they are at. But mine is exactly 9 minutes and they will be perfect. And while the cauliflower is going, I want to actually go back to the tofu question. So in the chat, let me know, have you ever tried tofu? Have you ever tried it? I know my VIPs have definitely tried it. And if you've tried it, do you like it? Be honest. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Especially if, Naomi, will you let me know what some of the responses are saying?
You're getting mixed reviews both on the cauliflower potatoes and on tofu. There's some yeses and nos on tofu, and a couple like yes on the cauliflower potatoes, and one was like it's hit or miss. But the tofu
What did they say about the cauliflower potatoes?
that they've had them, but it's hit or miss.
I agree. I think actually most cauliflower potatoes are not good. My personal opinion, these are.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying they haven't. A couple people have said they have had tofu. Ashley said she didn't used to like tofu, but she really does now.
Yay. Okay, so what I want to show you, because I know a lot of you guys, have you guys all had tofu in this room? As of 5 seconds ago. So tofu is one of those things that I think, and rightfully so, when I first started my plant-based journey, I made tofu and I thought it was the worst thing ever. I mean, I did not like it. And it wasn't because the product was bad. Tofu has no flavor. And if you don't buy the correct tofu, its texture to me is very mushy. And I know there's people on this call that are team texture like me. When you buy this tofu, actually, let me get you one more package that I didn't just cut open.
I had been eating tofu since I was a kid and had never seen this one that you're showing, the one without water, and it's changed my every thought about tofu.
Yay. Thank you. So Kelly, will you flip me over here so they can really see this? So this tofu, not soaked in water, key thing, okay? It's just in a plastic wrap. It is going to be completely different in texture than the tofu that is soaked in water. This is going to be firm and more chicken-like. And that's exactly what we're going to attempt to do, what we're going to do today. So I am going to turn my little griddle pan here. There we go. Onto high. And you can also make this in your air fryer. Or if you don't have a griddle pan like I do, just use a cast iron skillet or any kind of skillet that can get nice, hot, even heat. And all we're going to do is take this block and cut it in half. Okay, so we got a half. Then we're going to cut it in half again, and then in half once again. And these are going to be our slices, okay? This is also for the tofu cheese that is on the platter, which who's tried the tofu cheese? What do you think of it? Awesome. You like it? Actually, I didn't name it. Actually, one of my neighbors who also was not a tofu fan, she's the one that's like, this tastes like cheese. And didn't, once I told her it was tofu, she thought I was lying. So this is what you would do if you're going to make the tofu cheese, is make these exact slices, but then just cut them into cubes. But what we're going to do here is lay them out on our board, and then we're just going to use 3 different spices. We're going to use salt, pepper, and salt, pepper, and nutritional yeast. So nutritional yeast, hold on 1 second. I think I hear our brownies. Hold on. You can't let them burn. Yeah, the crowd goes wild. This is a perfect, okay. Let me show. Where should we go?
Right there.
Like, hello, perfectly cooked. Oh, I didn't turn the timer off. Hold on. Thought it did. Timer off. Okay. Look at this. Perfectly cooked brownies. And these look, do they not just look like brownies? Real brownies, right? But they're not, or I think they're better. So all we're gonna do at this point is take the reserved chocolate chips, sprinkle them on. It's gotta be festive for the holidays. And this is where you could get real fun too. If you wanted to chop up some peppermint, but I just do a little sprinkle of the chocolate chips, put them over the top. You could also just melt some of the cocoa powder with a little bit of your plant milk, and then you could pour that easily over the top too. But I just love pouring these little these little nuggets right over the top. I'm gonna set them aside, let them do their thing and melt a little bit. And I'll cut open one after I just let them set for like just 5 minutes. But let's get this tofu on. So all we're gonna do is just take some salt. Oh, what do you guys think of the board? So one of my neighbors, Dana, and also a VIP member, is eating the cranberry sauce, and she just said that she normally does not like cranberry sauce, and she said, "What, this is amazing." Yay. And like you can use that can go so many different directions. Even as Jules said, you could put it on the brownies. That would be delicious. Yeah. Jules came up with all the ideas. Coconut shavings as well would be good. So nutritional yeast, going back to the tofu just for a moment, is, where's my container? I wanted to show you guys the right frame. The right frame.
Carrie, there's a question about whether or not brownies were supposed to rise a little more. I think like the traditional look of a brownie where it rises, and are they supposed to be that flat?
Flat. I think that might have just been the angle. They are, well, once I cut into them, you'll see. They're pretty, I would say they're about a quarter inch to half an inch thick. So they don't like puff up like a brownie, unless we could have added some baking soda to create that effect, but wait till you see how thick these are, because these are dense. So almost if they were thicker, I think they would be too much, but I will cut into them and let you see that.
Yeah, and they may look flat, but they're kind of more of a fudgy brownie. So like if you had a mix that were, store-bought that was a little more fudgy, it would have that same kind of textured look. But I've had them, they're delicious.
Yeah, a great question. So the next ingredient we're gonna put on the tofu is just the salt, pepper, and then nutritional yeast. So in the plant-based world, I realize that this is your first day into plant-based cooking. This may be something you don't have, but is used in replacement of Parmesan cheese. And it sounds weird to put on tofu, but it gives it a really umami flavor. I buy this in bulk. That's why you're gonna see me use this container. I just keep it. And so I just literally, I season with salt and pepper the tofu, and it's even in the recipe how I would season, how I used to season chicken. Right? So that's a preference. Like some people love a little more salt. As you can tell, we love coarse black pepper. So you just kind of do a little quick press into this, and then on our hot skillet, hear that little sizzle. So we're just gonna put those on. We're not gonna overcrowd them. Normally on Sundays when I meal plan, I will make 2 blocks of these because my husband and I both love them, and you will see why here shortly. So we're gonna let those sear on one side, and then there's our cauliflower. And all we'll do on the stove is season the other side real quick. Takes about 3 minutes on each side. So I'm just gonna do a little salt. And once you perfect this, you can do any flavor combination you would like. Like if you wanted to go more of like a Mexican style, use some cumin or garlic powder, onion powder. I just keep it really simple and then toss it in whatever sauce I want. One of my little live participants is coming in and getting more crackers. And help. So the only thing when you're putting the seasoning on the height that when it's flipped over, it's just a little hot. So just be a little careful. Okay. So here we go. And I just push the tofu in and then just let it sit and do its thing. So look, in under, I should have looked at the start time when we actually started cooking, but look at how much we have gotten done in such a short amount of time. While the tofu is doing its thing, so we have our appetizer done, our dessert done, our meaty main course is almost done. The next, we have got to get our potatoes done, and they come together in under 10 minutes. Because as you see, it takes about 8 minutes of cook time. So we're going to get our handy dandy food processor back out onto the counter. And thank you to my my friend who went and washed this for me, so we didn't have brownie potatoes. And let me grab our mixture right out of the microwave, our no peel perfect potatoes. Now for the holidays, when I'm serving like 15 or more people, I make 4 batches minimum of this recipe. I would say this serves easily, actually I have 4, but if you're having let's be honest, if you love leftovers, make a double batch, but don't make a double batch in one steamer. If you don't have one of these little handy dandy steamer pots, no sweat, just use a microwavable dish or just steam them in a pot. But I just happen to have these little pampered chefs. And all you do to make sure everything is done is you just take a fork, here, I'll show you your toe, and you just kind of push it. See how it's all fork tender there? Just smushes with my fork. So all you'll do is dump this carefully because it is hot. That's just our potatoes and our cauliflower right into the pot. And then we are going to add all of our other ingredients. Let's start with our spices here, which we're going to use onion powder, garlic powder. So it is a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. It is a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. You'll notice when you start making more of my recipes, I try to use, I don't like to do a lot of dishes. So normally if it's a 1/4 teaspoon for something, it might be for the next. That's just a me thing. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of coarse black pepper. I think potatoes need black pepper, but that can be completely optional. Then I'm gonna use 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I start with a 1/4, and if you need to go up to a 1/2, you absolutely can. 1 tablespoon of our nutritional yeast. This is going to give that umami, cheesy, creamy flavor, because one thing you're not seeing in these potatoes is a whole bunch of cream and milk and butter and all of the things. Thank you. I'm like, we're gonna have to take a before and after of that. I think my friends they were. But what is so good about these boards is people, I think, are always afraid too that no one's going to eat them because they're so pretty. That's not true. I have a room full of girlfriends that just busted that myth wide open. Then what I use, instead of all of the cream, and you can actually make this homemade too, but for the holidays, I'm using a nut-based cream cheese. And I just used 4 tablespoons, which is about half of this jug, in there. This is going to make our potatoes luscious and creamy. And then my final ingredient is, and now this is something that I would say on the scale, of the plant-based scale, it's a better alternative than regular, but you know, it's still, I wouldn't say this is the most how did I put this? And the good, better, best, this is better than having regular mayonnaise, but this is the food I use, every once in a while. But instead of using all the calories and inflammation we get from all the dairy and milk, this, using a little bit of this product, and I will show you to you here shortly, is a much better option. And this is loaded with fiber, with vegetables, and this is the product I use. So instead of using mayonnaise, this is a product called Veganase, but I only use this this is a product I use every now and again, but it's gonna make these potatoes luscious and creamy, and you're gonna feel like, at least with me, you're gonna feel like these are Brownies potatoes that are loaded with cream and butter, and they're not, they're actually loaded with cauliflower. And so all we'll do, I'm just gonna double check the recipe. We have our cauliflower and our potatoes, our plant milk, our vegan mayo, our nut cream cheese, nutritional yeast, salt, garlic and onion powder, and pepper. And here we go. We just turn this bad boy on. And how long you let this go is a personal preference. I realize some people love more of like a chunky style steak potato, and some people like a real creamy whipped potato. Totally up to you, but I would at least let this go for a good 20 seconds. And just like that, will you flip me back over here, Kelly?
Yep.
Have the perfect, luscious, creamy. And if you want them even more whipped, you just keep going. This is the consistency we love. And all I would do before I would put it in a serving dish is just scrape the bottom, just make sure nothing, got stuck. And would you let that person in, Kelly? You see someone's trying to, I think I can out.
Yep.
So look at this texture.
Erin says that looks so good.
Tastes even better. It's so good. Yum. Okay, so all I would do at this point, if you were making a huge batch of this for the holidays like I do, I would put it in, your bowl and then get your second batch going. Normally I will have 2 steamer pots going at once, but once again, I don't ever double up in the steamer pots. For some reason it just doesn't cook the same. And it takes, so if you're gonna double this up, make one portion in one steamer pot and another portion in another one. And yum, just get all this goodness out. There you go. But we're not done yet because we can't have the perfect potatoes. Oops, sorry, I'm trying the wrong way.
You're all right.
Perfect potatoes without gravy. But real quick, what we have to do is check out our tofu because I can hear it singing to me. Now, I'm not gonna go put this by my friends over there because they're gonna eat it before we have time to show you the gravy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip these tofus, but I wanna show you what we're looking for. Back here. See how it got crispy? Yes, ooh, hello. Crispy and crunchy. This is what we're looking for. Now we're gonna flip them over and we're gonna get that same amazing texture on the other side. If you have an air fryer that has like the trays or even the bin, you just cannot overcrowd them, you can get a very similar effect at putting these in at 425 for 15 minutes, and 15 to 20, I would say, depends on how hot your air fryer will get, but it will have this similar texture. I've also then taken them out of my air fryer or this, and you can put them on the grill to get a little smoky taste. But once you perfect this, and it may take you maybe 1 or 2 times because it's perfecting the seasoning. So as I said, season how you would have seasoned chicken or any other white protein. And then our final Last but not least. Sorry. Cast iron. Oh, yeah. Jules' son calls these the chicken squares. Whew. Hold on, I gotta put a little water on that. I forgot heat transfers over to cast iron dishes. So we are gonna get our gravy started, and then I will dig into these amazing brownies. So you can see them gooey out of the oven. Okay, so this gravy, hold on, in the chat, will you flip me to the main screen, Kelly? How many people is gravy like a thing at your house? Every holiday you have gravy. Yes? Yes. You can't skip gravy, right? Okay. So gravy at my house, and let us know in the chat, was gravy like a big thing at your house? Is something that you always had to have, because gravy at my house was not only something we always had to have, but was something that literally could delay Christmas by an hour, because you have to get all the drippings and the roux correct. It never tastes the same. And you had to always work at it to get that perfect texture. And then all of a sudden you couldn't use flour anymore because everybody had gluten allergies. And so I just remember it taking hours.
Oh, look at these people.
What'd you say? Amy, did you say something?
I didn't, I don't know who that was, but a lot of people are saying gravy makes the meal. Gravy's really important, and I agree. I always feel bad because, you know, it's literally just like the fat off of a bird or any, you know, whatever you're cooking, and you're like, it can't be good for you, but it is so delicious.
Well,
Carey, that's your mother saying, yes, gravy's important.
yes, that is my mom, and she can tell you how often the gravy would delay our meals.
Very stressful.
So I took over the gravy at a young age with my uncle and another cousin, and when my grandma was still here, and it was just always, it was a fun time in the kitchen, but it was always stressful. This gravy not only is not stressful, it will come out the same every time. You can actually make it in advance before the holiday, and it will be just as good. So what you saw me dump into the bottom of this pan is just some water. And then a product that you may not have, will you just put me here so they can see this, is I use liquid aminos. You can also use coconut aminos. In short, this is a better product for you than than soy sauce. So it doesn't have the wheat or the gluten in it. You can get this at almost every major grocery store except Aldi's. I don't know what Aldi's, and either does Costco. Yet, I should say. So I prefer using this. Coconut aminos will work. So you're going to add in your liquid aminos and your water. Notice, have you ever heard of water and gravy? A delicious calorie-free? No, but I promise this gravy I have made. Who's had it here? You did it. Okay, it didn't taste like you were eating healthy gravy. Then we are going to add again in our nutritional yeast. Once again, that product we talked about earlier. That's like the plant-based Parmesan cheese. Sounds strange, but it works. So we have our water, our liquid aminos, nutritional yeast, then we have to add our aromatics, which is our onion powder and our garlic powder. Where did I throw my teaspoon? It wasn't actually on the floor, it was on the floor. So 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of our garlic powder. Oh, the same measurements again. And then 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. It's one of those things you may not have on hand. If you don't, you can absolutely skip it, but it does add a specialness to this gravy. But if you don't have it, there's been plenty of times I've made it and I'm like, oh, I don't have the ground ginger. I also, if you're somebody that likes to have fresh ginger on hand, I would not use fresh ginger. It's one of the few times that would not be a good substitute. And then the final ingredient, we are going to add a teaspoon of our Dijon mustard. And we are going to let this come to a boil. We are going to check on our tofu, make sure it does not burn. So we're gonna let this mixture just come to a soft boil. Let's check our little tofu's there, close. You can see on both sides now. It's getting that browning just like it would if it was meat. So that one's actually, I would say, it's perfectly done. Another one. Now I'm gonna set these on the board. Part of my cooktop, this side doesn't cook as fast, so see, I would still say that's good, but I'm gonna leave it on just for a minute longer. Go. And I will show you how I would plate this up. I got a little longer. It's nice, crispy, delicious. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is just turn that off. And our mixture here, turn it up to medium heat. And once you make this, I promise you will not have to alter anything. It comes together perfectly every time. Now, my mom may chime in here again, who also does not like this ingredient, which is mushrooms. So let me know in the chat. Do we have any mushroom haters? Do we have any mushroom haters in here? Do we all-
I'm with Carrie's mom. I haven't eaten meat in years, but I'm just not a mushroom lover. It makes no sense, but I've had this gravy and it is so good. I blend it up at the end, like you suggest, for people who don't like the texture of it, but the flavor is phenomenal.
I love that. So for all of our mushroom haters, and let us know in the chat if you're a mushroom hater or a lover. No judgments here. So what I recommend is if you have somebody in your life who's a mushroom hater, I normally never buy these sliced mushrooms because I find that they go bad faster. But for this recipe, because I'm going to chop them up, I'm just taking a little help from the store. If the whole ones are on sale though, I will buy what is on sale. Since I have a mushroom hater in my life, even though she loves this gravy, I nicely chop these up for her. If you need to hide the mushrooms, the one thing you can't do is you have to put them in, but if your husband's like, if I see a mushroom, I'm not going to eat it, he's gonna pout and do the things that husbands do. Right? You'll just put it in a blender and he'll never know it's there. But the mushrooms they give it an umami, a really great flavor, all day cooked flavor, and they're going to give it some meatiness. And if you blended it up, it's going to give you the thickness. So I just give it a good old rough chop. You can see our mixture is boiling perfectly, and I just take my little scoopula, put her on in. Scoop, scoop. So now we have almost the perfect gravy. There's just one more ingredient that goes in here, which is just some dried Italian seasoning goes in. So I use about a half a teaspoon. And I put the teaspoon right in my hand because I like to, I'll show you. I like to do this to open up the oils from the dried herbs, make them alive again and sing. You put that in, and notice we're not adding in any salt or pepper yet. We're going to do that at the end so we can actually taste this, because really the liquid aminos that is much like soy sauce is going to provide us that salt, but yet almost an all-day cooked flavor that you would get from the meat drippings. And then the final thing, you can't have gravy. This would be a liquid gravy unless we thickened her up. So I am going to use, and there's a few options, but one that I find the easiest is just taking some good old-fashioned non-GMO cornstarch. And you're going to add that to some of our plant milk. Just in a little bowl, like so. It's 2 tablespoons. And I actually started making all my gravies from a young age with cornstarch because I did actually have an aunt far before the gluten-free craze that was celiac. So you'll notice a lot of my recipes are naturally gluten-free. It's not something that I actually try to avoid. So because I have so many friends that are intolerant. So it's 2 tablespoons cornstarch, and then half a cup of our plant milk again, which I'm just gonna use the same one I used before, the organic coconut. You can use almond, cashew, oat, but notice I am making this in a separate bowl. If you were to add the cornstarch in to the hot liquid, it would curdle, and that we do not want that at all. Just gotta find my half a cup. Use this. So just half a cup of your plant milk in, and then we'll just whisk this. I just use fork, or I could use. I find a fork, you can use a whisk, but for some reason, the fork in the bowl will really break up the cornstarch clumps. So traditionally, people would use flour, milk, butter, and we're just making this simply using plant milk and a little bit of cornstarch, water.
It's important it's not warm.
Yes, you don't want to add cornstarch right into something hot on its own. You want to pre-mix it. And then sometimes you can even add some of the liquid in. I never have an issue as long as you just pour this in slowly. Actually, this is boiling and our mushrooms are going to tilt down a little bit. You can see a little bit better, and I'll bring it to you. These mushrooms are perfectly cooked, and then I just add in this little slurry that we just mixed up. And one thing I noticed, because I have a big family, and we like tripled this recipe once. What I would do is before you triple any recipe, whether you're making this gravy or something else, make one batch so you get an idea of how it should look and taste before trying to triple it. Just so you can, because sometimes tripling it, it's way harder to get them the seasonings right. But look at this. Let's turn this too low. You bring camera, check this out. Like, and that came together, somebody should have timed that, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Normally, like I said, and as my mom reiterated, gravy used to take almost an hour. So this is perfect. The only thing I'm going to do is just give it a quick test, because this is, I know I'll probably at least add some pepper. Oh, and my secret ingredient, a little bit of nutmeg. If you don't have fresh nutmeg, you can't, it's one of those things you can absolutely skip, but nutmeg in gravy just makes you go like, what is that? I do about 1/8 of a teaspoon, it's about 20 shades. I also love putting nutmeg like in the brownies. One of those just yummy holiday flavors. So if your gravy, for whatever reason, thickened up at all, or you like it a little bit thinner, all you have to do is just add a little bit of water, and it will, to your desired consistency. Let me show you.
And Carrie, also Linda said she'd probably have to blend it up so no one else knew there was mushrooms. And like I said, I've done that. And you would also, Carrie says, add a little extra water if you blend it, because it needs a little more water.
Yes, because the mushrooms will thicken up. But here's what's great too. And yes, great question, Linda. When you perfect this gravy, just by following this, look at this. They say a perfect gravy is when you can go like that. And both sides stay clear. It's really good. So what you can do even from this too is if you love that like green bean casserole, you can add then just a little bit of heavy coconut cream, and then you would just put this over your green beans. You can even thin this out with more plant milk once you make this and turn it into a great like mushroom bisque. It can go a lot of different directions, but for this class, we're sticking with holiday gravy. And I want to show you really quick how to build this plate. We're going to cut these brownies, and then I would love to answer any of your questions because I promised you in under an hour, I was gonna show you a start to finish plant-based meal. The only thing I didn't promise was burning my little finger. So what I do with the tofu, I just, normally 3 to 4 is a serving. So I just like to cut it on the bias. Like this. Does that not look meaty? Right? It just has a little bit of cornstarch from my cutting board. Meaty, so let's get a plate. Dollop this up. So what I would do, turn the gravy off.
Kevin F says that looks like chicken.
Who said that?
Kevin F, I think.
Oh, yeah, our Canadian friend. I love Canadian, or my Canadian friends, especially when they tell me that it's snowing. I moved for the Midwest, so when I hear that it's snowing, I'm always like, oh, that's so pretty, but I don't miss it. Okay. So I like to do the potatoes, the gravy, or the potatoes, I'm sorry, and the crunchy other white meat. And then normally I would put this in like a pretty, the gravy in a pretty gravy bowl, but I have some hungry people. So I'm just going to pour this over. Then, not done yet, so. A little bit of our cranberry sauce. And then, something that I just love, it's just a little added extra. You don't have to, but I always recommend during the holidays having either some microgreens or some herbs, fresh herbs just chopped up. It just makes the plate look pretty. We eat with our eyes first. There you have it, my friend. Start to finish. Holiday meal. From appetizer, charcuterie board, to, look at your other white meat, the most delicious cauliflower potatoes you'll ever have, game-changing gravy, and of course, our cranberry sauce. And what's great is when anybody asks, can they bring a side? I mean, easily a great salad, Brussels sprouts, you know, a nice great vegetable, perfect here. And then the last thing I have to cut into is show you our brownies. So let me do that. Would anybody like to try this? I know I only have one plate. I only have one plate yet, but we'll have more. But let me cut into those brownies to show you. I was brave there. I didn't actually test to make sure this pan wasn't hot. So what I would do, I want to show you how thick, actually what I cut, how thick they are. Where is my perfect little spatula? Okay, so what I do is I normally cut right down the center, so I know where like the half point is. And then I go down the center again. And this is where, remember, these are made from beans and oats. They're truly so good for you. You could eat them for breakfast or let your husband eat them. These are brownies that not only have no guilt, but these are brownies that you could actually lose weight eating, which I know sounds crazy. So brownies. So I just cut them like so. Let me show you what one looks like. If I don't cut them all the way, my husband will scoop in here and take the whole tray. So look at this. Gooey gooey. Can you see that shine? Ooh, well, they're not. There we go. Gooey gooey, moist. So they're about, I would say, like a little over 1/4 of an inch thick, and they are so, there we go. There we go. They are so, so good. They are glistening. They are bubbly right out of the oven. They're super, super good. And what you'll do with these is store them in the fridge if you're going to make them in advance. because there's no preservatives or anything in here. So you want to serve them, and then right before, store them in the fridge, and right before you're gonna serve them, just pop them in the oven for like 5 minutes or even the microwave, and they will get bubbly and delicious. And all I would do, you just get a cute little plate. You can put these on a beautiful platter or a little dish. And I loved Jules' suggestion of taking a little bit of the cranberry sauce. Hello, Freeways. Let me grab just a little bit of it. And we'll have the perfect chocolate. Look at that, how beautiful. With cranberries, nobody is going to feel like they are skipping their dessert, but this is just one of the desserts. If you guys have grabbed my holiday cookbook, I have all kinds in there that are just this easy. Actually, a lot of them are no bake and delicious. It's these small little changes to your favorite traditional or classic recipes that not only will allow you to lose weight, but they're going to allow you to feel alive. So many of my clients said they forgot what it felt like to feel so good. When you make these small changes and eat real food, you are going to feel alive again. You're going to want, you're energized, you're going to want to move. So making a small change, even if it's just dessert this holiday season, you are in the right direction. So with that being said, what do you guys, I can get you another plate. What do you guys think? How is it? How are your bites? Not enough. Not enough. They're eyeing the food because they want more. But I will get them some more. And any questions? I would love to hear any questions. And then I do have a great little surprise for you all. But does anybody have any questions about any of the recipes or anything that you guys saw today? Let me know. Or let Naomi know in the chat. Or actually, you can even unmute yourself now. And feel free to ask. I would love to hear. And whoever had the question about the brownie, I hope that it showed you how wide they do or thick they do get. So any questions or anybody in the chat too from VIP want to give a testament to any of these recipes?
Cheryl and I both love the idea of the cranberry sauce on top of the brownies. What a great suggestion. I mean, that tart and sweet and the brownies together. I'm definitely going to do that for my Christmas dinner.
Okay. It's all Jules. And for those who don't know, Jules is our amazing Argonne representative, everything that has taught us so much. So we'll have to have Jules on on another class. But yes, it looked great. I don't know, is it already gone?
Is there a cream recipe that is non-dairy? Put on top of almond butter?
Yeah, actually, Jules just asked about a non-dairy cream. So you can absolutely make it with like heavy coconut cream, or I did buy this one to show. They have some versions of like a whipped topping that you can buy that there's one that I really like, but it wasn't available. You know, for during the holidays, I would say this is like a good option. But you can absolutely just in an aerator take heavy coconut cream and just shake it up, one of those aerating machines. My aunt used to have one. Or you can even whip aquafaba, I believe, and you can make a cream from that. But this is a quick, I would say, easy one for the holidays if you wanted to give your brownies a dollop. But just like regular Cool Whip topping, you would need to take this out so it could actually, so it can have that little whipped texture. Any other questions? Ooh. So I just had a question in my kitchen about the VIP group. Great question. So I have a challenge that I put on every 6 weeks called the 10-day challenge, where I teach primarily all busy women. I would say a lot of game-changing women that are doing great things in the world. So for 10 days, we meet as a community of about 20 people, and I teach you small things that you can start doing today. So every day there's a challenge that will help you not only lose weight for good, but feel your best. And I know know I have a lot of VIPs. I have one VIP sitting right across from me right now. I think we have some VIPs on the virtual call that can give you a testament to what that challenge can do for you. But after you go through the 10-day challenge, you have the opportunity to become a VIP, which is where we meet every week to go over, we do some education together, we do monthly wellness challenges together, and of course, we cook together. So that's how you become a VIP. The next challenge is January 11th. Right after the new year. So I would love to invite, actually you all will be invited to come join that challenge. It's a great time, especially if you're looking to not only lose weight, but just regain that energy and feel that zest for life again. So January 11th. And then another fun announcement is actually this was the request of many, and Jules, you were one of them. I've gotten several emails about Christmas and cooking classes. So that's why I wanted to offer this to you guys all for free this holiday season. But if you're in the need of either a last minute gift for yourself or for a family member or both, we are doing a cooking series now every month. I actually have it all scheduled out. I've been working with my amazing marketing guy, Kevin, who you might have seen in the virtual community. And so we'll be offering them every single month. They will all be themed and geared towards taking easy or American classic recipes and turning them into easy plant-based recipes, doing swaps like we did tonight. So we're doing a 3-pack, so our January, February, and March class, if you'd like to take advantage of that or gift that for just $99. And all of the classes will come with, you get recipe books, you're gonna get tech support, which is our text community. Oh, Kevin, there's a whole gamut of big bonuses I know people get, and I am drowned by good smelling food right now. But for $99, it's the best thing you could do for your health if you are really looking for some easy plant-based recipes to take you into the new year, or as a good gift, I know we were talking about for mom, and for a few people that are watching virtually, I know you wanted to give some gifts to cooking classes like this. So for $99, we have that's our special. I believe, Kevin, it goes to midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I would love to do these cooking classes with you. We will only get better and better with the virtual ones. And of course, the opportunity to hopefully host some of you guys even live in my kitchen. So make sure to take advantage of that. I think we're posting the link in the chat, but you're also going to have it in your inbox right after this class. And another thing, you will be getting a replay of this video. So since you got to watch it with your recipe guide and you either take notes and ask questions, and then you can watch it back when you actually make these recipes, hopefully in a few days. So you will be getting that also emailed to you, and it is in it should be airing still live on Facebook. So any questions? Yes.
I can ask you, how long do the spices last, your coconut milk, your Aminos stuff, and your yeast? How long does that last?
So great question. So like milk like this? So what? So I have a question from a studio audience about how long does plant-based milk last? So I'll answer that one first. This one lasts till, now I buy these, they actually come warm in a case. And then I just refrigerate it after opening. This one lasts till December 2022.
Once you open it,
Once I open it, it's 14 days. And then, but if you buy it cold, of course, whatever that date says. The liquid aminos, I buy these. This is primarily what I use for salt. I bought this when we moved here. So I moved to Jacksonville in April. So, and this expires March of 2024. So this will last you a while. You'll find, especially as you start to take more of my cooking classes or hopefully get more involved in the community, we use definitely things like this and miso as salt replacements. And there's nothing I cook that will take over 30 minutes. So you want to use flavors that can give you sometimes that depth and that umami. And then nutritional yeast. This one, once again, I would have bought right when we moved here, so in April, and it's good till February 2023. This is something I use a lot and teach a lot with, especially when we're making cheeses or making savory things like gravy or potatoes. So I actually buy this in bulk and just like will refill this or refill my. So great question. Any other questions out there, Naomi? That
Everyone's saying they really enjoyed the class and now they're starving.
I know.
And Chris wants to know if there's a replay of this. You said we're all gonna get this video in our inbox, right?
Yes, so my holiday gift to you was not only the cooking class and the cooking guide, but you will get the replay of this so you can watch it back. And then our next class, our next holiday cooking class is set to be on January 4th. So if you take advantage of our 3-pack deal that expires tonight, you will get the January 4th cooking class, which is really a perfect one because we're going to be celebrating New Year Best You in 2022. So I'm going to show you recipes you can start making today that will literally have you feeling great, but taste delicious. I don't make diet food. I will never teach you just how to eat an apple, even though you should eat apples. But I will not. They won't feel ever like diet food. So that one starts on January 4th, which is crazy. New year, new you, and 2022 will be here. Well, I cannot thank you all for being here. This has been amazing. So you are getting, your feedback is absolutely welcome. Make sure you get your email from us. You can watch this class. We would love feedback. Join the Facebook community in the kitchen with Carey Cohill. I am always in there. You can tag me and ask me questions. I will personally get back to you, or somebody from our VIP group will get back to you. And make sure when you're making these, take pictures. I would love to see how your recipes turn out, what your husband, what your kiddos thought of everything. And I hope you have a really blessed holiday, whether you're celebrating Christmas or another holiday. I hope you have a great time with your family and friends. And last check, Naomi, is there any other questions? Because I just don't want to say goodbye and just say, oh my gosh.
No, everybody's just saying that they really enjoyed the class and happy holidays to everyone and great job. And they're just so happy that they were here with you.
Yay. Well, I am so happy that I was here with you. Thank you for coming into my kitchen and letting me into your homes. Cheers. One more final cheers to everybody. And hopefully I will see you in January for our next cooking class. Lots of love, my friends. See you guys soon. Cheers. Cheers. And thank you to our cameraman, Kelly, all the way in from Iowa.
Down there.